Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to Aligning with Success. Oh my God, it's March. So January and February just flew by. February was a little bit chaotic. How many of you had a little bit of a chaotic month in February? Raise your hand if you had a bit of a chaotic month. Yeah, so obviously we had to transition from one system to another system. That always creates um, all kinds of, I don't know, disturbances, I guess, because you don't know where everything is. And not everything works the way it's supposed to. Everything works in theory, and then when you go to actually put all the data together and make it turn it on, that's when you find out what really works. So they're still giving us anybody here who needs an extra few days. I think it's today. It's a few days anyway. Maybe today's the last day. I can't recall now. If you needed to shore up your volumes for February, you can call in an order and they'll help you with meeting any qualifications that you might be running for. So you best get that done before the month is over. The month officially is over. However, we are now in March. It's a new month, new goals, new everything, new system, lots of new to get used to and start talking about, sharing about. Um, so we're going to get into some of that goals. But before we do that, since today was promoted, to some of you may have been you may have joined the call that my daughter put on, which was really a masterclass on the subject of 10xing your goals versus 2xing your goals. And I'm wondering, I know Madeline was on, I know Marissa was on. I'm not sure who else may have been on the call. That's on our Zoom here tonight. Leo, yes, Leo was on. I'm going to ask you if there was one or two key points that you got from today's workshop, 2.5 hour workshop. Um, what are they? If there was one or two game changers for you, let's say if you had to pick the top two things for you that really rock your boat, what would they be? And everybody take notes because this is like the distillation of 2.5 hours of information through the lens of an Econ consultant. So let's open the channel, Madeline, Leo, and Marissa, and let's hear from you. What was the most salient points, the most important points that you got from today's workshop? Go ahead and unmute yourselves.
For myself is was the explanation of the vision. So I have an idea what a vision was, but the way Sophia had explained it, it was real true. Okay, my vision was too vague. So it was a matter of what my real vision, my real focus, and how she got to her levels in her story and how she was able to focus on her vision. So to me, it was like, oh, wait a minute. For me, it was a game changer in I believe my vision is too vague, and I had a different interpretation of vision.
Can you give me an example? Can you give us an example?
So beginning of the year, I have a vision board, and my daughter actually looked at it today after, and I have all sorts of visions, but it's not a clear vision. It's not a vision that I'm just one specific vision of working towards what would make me happy, what would make me successful. And it's all about mostly it was about work and just little things that I think would have made me happy. But after today's um meeting, today's lesson, it's that just basically got thrown out the window. So it's just refocusing on what my vision is here on in and just concentrating and working towards that.
Okay, cool. Leo, how about you?
So, good stuff about your daughter. 10x, drink big. See, drink. Don't care to drink big, and don't be afraid to ask God to help us. She's very spiritual, and 10x for sure. That would put my goal bigger, and ask God to help me for that. And I began the month with a new consultant. She's supposed to be here a few minutes. So that's nice, and that's good for learn English too, of course.
Yeah, very good. That's a big one. And I'm going to talk about that because specifically one of the points that I took away relates to that. Madeline, how about you? What was the big takeaway for you?
For me, it was more on personal development. It's what must I let go of? And then the second one was my perception of myself. And Mike, I don't know whether it was 7 or 8 years ago, it seems like 10 years ago, that you came through the United States and we did that, whatever that tour was, your tour of Canada and the United States. It just seems so long ago. And these 7 years have just felt like a long time. And then for me, the past couple of years have been difficult because of some health challenges, which I know you about and you know about, and some others do as well. And I, all of a sudden, I'll be 78 this summer. So thinking about this visioning, when she said 10 years from now, what really struck home with me is that I just need to really relook at all of the strengths that I have and take advantage of all these years that I've invested. And I heard in her, I texted you about that. I invested a lot, and it was an investment in Bob Proctor. She was absolutely profound, being able to relate to women, particularly adding God in the picture. Now, Bob would say that he would always talk about God, but the way that she articulated what was socialized and ingrained in me in those first formative years, those early years with Team Diamond. It wasn't just attending Bob Proctor's 3% Club or whatever. He was always a part of the big Team Diamond events and all the goal planning and whatever. And it was a deja vu of, what do I need to let go of, but yet what is so still pertinent for my perception of myself, and what am I going to do with these years that are left after that kind of investment? You use the word investment instead of expense all the time. And that's really what I came away from today with. And I've already got the vision board out and have a flip chart up, and am just moving in a different direction in just that period of time, just from earlier today until now, making every moment count, making every day count. I got outside. I don't like walking outside, but I walked out to the mailbox, and then I walked around the corner and came back in, and it has been a different energy level. She is profound, and you must be. It was interesting watching you as her father, to have you on there and her sister and her cousin on there. She just didn't miss a beat. When she said that she is really a good speaker, she is. So for 27, I hope you're feeling your return on investment, and I'm sure these past
For sure.
years have been difficult for you.
It comes back to what you were saying, Madeline. It's about what your identity is.
Yeah.
Who are you identifying yourself as? Because you're going to operate from your identity. And if you're thinking small, if you think you're not capable, if you think you're going to try, all those words that we use to be meek and play small, those are going to inform how you actually communicate. It's going to inform what information you take in. Dave and I are giving you guys nuggets every week.
Yeah.
You guys can make millions of dollars with Nikan with what we've shared. Millions. Question is, are you actually taking it in? Is it hitting a home? Is it hitting home? If your filter is on, the filter of I'm not worthy, you're not going to hear what we have to say. It's not going to land. So there's an identity that has to shift here. And here's some of the things that I took away. Thanks for that, Madeline. You can't do 10x more work. So if you're going to 10x your success, it's not about doing 10 times more work. It's about changing your whole strategy. You can't even, right now, you're not even entertaining the ideas that would be aligned with 10 times the result. One of the things that she gave, that I was talking to my daughter Savannah at dinner, was she said, I want you to think a year out. What does it look like? What's your goal, your success look like? What are you capable of What's your desire for 1 year out? She was talking about how there were three things that limit our vision: the time, our resources, and what we believe we're capable of. So she started with time, and this was an interesting one. She said, "I want you to talk," and she shouted it out, and everybody started coming up with. And we did this. You and I did this at the beginning of the year. We said, write a check to yourself for December 15th, 2025. Right? We did that. 1 year out. Well, she takes it to the next level. She says, now 10 years out. What's that goal 10 years out? What's that possibility 10 years out? And of course, everybody said, well, 10x, right? 10 times that, it's 10 years. So let's 10x. She said, now bring that back. Let's collapse time and make that the goal for 1 year from now. And everybody's like, shell shocked, because now all of a sudden you're confronting a thing that you just haven't even considered. Not even possible. And she says and she quoted somebody from the book, 10x is easier than 2x. That's the name of the book. She said, when your goal is impossible, where is it? I wrote it down somewhere here. When your goal is impossible, that's when I don't have it written right in front of me. I got to find it. Anyway, it has to do with the idea of the goal seeming impossible. If your goal seems impossible, at that point, you're no longer operating from your current assumptions and knowledge. You can't. Your current assumptions and knowledge allow you to set the goal you're currently setting. But the second you 10x that number, you can't do that anymore. You can't operate from your current level of thinking, your current assumptions or your basic knowledge. So now all of a sudden, what? Now what? You're like, well, I don't know. Exactly. You don't. And you could not possibly know, because if you did, you've already be having that result. So it puts you in a position of somewhat seemingly vulnerability, Now you don't know. Well, is it that you have to know? If you consider everything you've ever achieved in your life, did you know before you started?
No.
No, you learn as you go, but you would never have gone unless you set the goal to do it. In other words, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Which comes first, the goal or the knowledge of how to achieve the goal? So most people, and I'm talking to you, set goals that you're comfortable with because you want to be in your comfort zone. And one of the points she said was, you can't play to win while at the same time playing not to lose. Comfort is the enemy of entrepreneurs. So your goals are probably in the space of comfort. We've been doing goals now. I don't know how many months we've been doing it, every month. But I bet you're having a hard time achieving your goal. And I'll tell you why. It's too small.
Yeah.
It's too small. It doesn't get the best of you. Here's another thing. If you're feeling tired and complacent or bored and uninspired, your vision isn't big enough. So these are things you can do right here, right now. You can course correct right here, right now. You can get way outside your comfort zone. You can set a goal that's absolutely huge, 10 times bigger than what you set for your goal for December 2025. And now, if you commit to that, you force upon yourself the need and the desire and the possibility to entertain ideas that you are not entertaining right now, to take in information that you're not taking in right now, to even be exposed to people that you're not being exposed to right now. That's the crazy thing about it. If your goal is too small, that it doesn't inspire you, that it doesn't scare you, it's not going to deliver the means to you. And you'll find the small goal hard to achieve. Crazy, huh? But this is actually how it works. So the best that Dave and I could do where you're concerned is put your feet to the fire. That's the best thing we could possibly do for you, is keep putting your feet to the fire, saying you're thinking too small. You're thinking too small. Come on. There's more in you that you're capable of. Why do I know that? Because that was one of the things that was a restriction: time, resources, and capability. Here's the thing about capability. Here's a good one. Do you think if you put somebody on a call with me and Dave, me or Dave or both of us, do you think if you actually got somebody on a call with us, we would be capable of delivering whatever information they needed to support the idea that they could actually make a fortune with Nikken? Do you think we could do it, and we could do it with confidence? Yes or no?
Yes. And she used confidence too. She said confidence or capability.
So now, there you go. The secret sauce to success in this business and acceleration in this business, ABCs. Who with? People who have the belief system, have the credibility, have the confidence for that kind of an achievement. Get us in front of your people. Start imagining yourself in ABC calls with me or Dave, or both of us. We show up on Thursday nights when you guys show up. We're there. We make ourselves available to be on a call Thursday night to entertain and educate whoever you bring. Why aren't you bringing them? Because you're not talking to the right people, and you're not talking to them about anything relevant or important enough that would get their attention to want to show up. It's too small. The game's too small. Nobody wants to play small. It's too easy. There's too much of that. There's so much noise. This guy, $100 million offers, $100 million offers. I told you the example. He was charging $1,997 for a program that he also was charging $19.97 just to prove a point. That if you target your audience correctly, if you actually identify who it is that you want to attract into your business and specifically talk to that individual in your mind and how you communicate, then you can ask for more. How many of you have a hard time asking for an initial order of a good pack, good, better, best? How many of you, be honest, how many of you have struggled with asking somebody to invest in their business recently? Why? Why would it be such a difficult thing if it was going to lead to the results that we're telling them is possible? Somebody says, I want to make $10,000 a month. I say, okay, Nikken is a way you can do that. Yep. But I don't think, like $50, it's a lot to get in. I know it's a lot, $50 and a pack, 500 on top of that. Oh, I know. And 1,000? Oh, forget about it. Right. Okay. Am I apologizing for the price of admission to success? Am I doing that before I even ask? Make no apologies. If you bring somebody to this business with the idea that they're going to actually win, be honest enough with them as to what it takes to win. Dave, or Wes, you got your hand up.
Yeah, what helped me was somebody mentioned this. I see all these things that I have to do. And I learned that when I say that to myself, it's not something I have to do, it's something I get to do. And when
There
I
it
talk
is.
to people about buying packages, it's not that they have to, but they get to.
Right. And they get it at a price discount, and they get free shipping on that.
They get
Good
it.
for them. They get a chance to actually enter a business that has 50 years of history, that has produced millionaires in every city and every country they've gone. There's not a single place that they haven't produced a millionaire. And they get to be one of them if they decide. Here's another one. Busy work is not big work. So one of the things that I want to come back to is you can't do 10 times more work. Your whole strategy needs to change. So don't be setting goals today with the mind of somebody who's trying to 1x or 2x your goal, because that's what you think you can do. And that's not going to give you horsepower. It's not going to motivate you. It's not going to excite you. It's not going to inspire you. It's not going to change anything about you. And if you don't change, your results don't change. And that's the formula. You must change for your results to change. Oof. You
That's
must
a good
change.
one, Michael. Would the audience like to know the history of how the 10X game came about?
Dave knows this guy personally. So yeah, let's hear it.
Well, Grant didn't create the game itself. He took the idea from another source. And the other source was a gentleman by the name of L. Ron Hubbard, who started a new religion in this country and then, a number of years ago in the 50s. And he was asked what he would like for his birthday by his staff members. And he said, because they were thinking of a tie or, the usual customary things. He said, well, what I'd really like is for you guys to 5x the stats. And what he meant by that is to increase the production in the organizations around the world by, I think it was 5.4 times was the actual number. And so they thought this was a great idea. They'd never seen this idea before. And they more than 5x, they 10x the production. So there came about the idea of 10xing production, but it was also based on Napoleon Hill, and his communication was think big, but think in futures. So in order to make a product, in order to get a result, you have to have a product that you're producing, and then you have to understand how much of the subproduct, those little pieces, are required to create the end product, and then how do you 10x that over a period of time? Because it's not going to happen over day one. I mean, obviously there are, unusual circumstances, but that's really how it came about. It became the birthday game. So right now I'm doing voluntary work for this same organization, and we're playing the same game. We're playing the birthday game, which is up on his birthday, which is March 13th. And we've got another 8 days or 11 days to go. And we're doing exactly what he says to do the, the 5.4x on production. And it's a matter of understanding all the moving parts. So what Michael and I have done over the past few weeks and months is given you tidbits to put together the puzzle. So in the sense of when I first started, I was at zero. I 10x my income the first year to over $100,000 from nothing. And then in another 8 years, I 10x'd it again to over $1 million a year for a number of years. So, but it was not just one person. The organization grew and expanded because what was initially done was duplicated. So we said a couple of weeks ago, find one person to play with, and all of a sudden you've duplicated yourself. You've got up 100%. Now, the two of you go do that a couple of times, you'll 10x the number of people in your organization, literally in 30 or 60 days. And then if you do that again, you'll 10x that number. So, but the concept is to think into the future, because the future comes about by what you do today. So if you do it today and you plan the activities, and okay, so let's say the goal down the road, the big goal that you want is $100,000 a year in income. Okay, so then work it backwards. And what's going to be in that 100,000? How many people do you have to have? What kind of volume do you have to generate $100,000? Because if you don't have the component parts, what is that you're at? And the goal is very difficult. But if
Let me
you
jump.
have the component parts, the goal is really easy.
Yeah, that's the duplication
Go ahead,
part.
Mike.
Let me jump in here, Dave. Yeah, you just said a few things. Okay, so the future is, this is the quote from today. This is the opening quote for today. The future is a tool to recreate and optimize the present. So when you think into the future, whatever that 10x goal is, then you back into the moment today. What is it that I need to optimize today to line up with that type of a reality? It's today that you have the power and the authority. So you've got to align today's thoughts, actions, conversations with that outcome. You can't go into that outcome with today's behavior. You cannot change the future results with the current level of activity, the current level of thinking, the current strategy. So 10x requires you to think in a different way or to be open to a different way. Like we've already given you information on how to 10x. It's just, it's not getting absorbed. And the reason it's not getting absorbed, filtered into you to the degree where you're actually applying it is because something is standing in the way. Something is blocking you from hearing it. And what it is your identity. What you think you're worthy of, what you think you're capable of, what you think. Okay, so let's jump forward here. Here it is, 5 levels of vision. Now, these 5 levels of vision associate you with greater influence, greater income, and greater impact. So if what we're trying to do is create greater influence, greater income, and greater impact, if we're going to 10x our influence, income, and impact, the way you think in terms of vision, this is how you expand on it. The first level is the vision of yourself and your life. Now, if you can't even define that, if you can't even define your own vision for yourself and your life, how are you going to influence anybody with them, with their vision? So it starts with you. Having a clearly defined, here's where I'm going. Do you need to know how you're going to get there? Nope. We already told you that's a secret. You don't need to know to make that decision and that commitment. You won't even know. So number one, you set the course for yourself and your life. Get clear on your vision like Marissa is doing. Number two, second level is to get a vision for your clients and your community. A vision for your clients or your community. What do you see for them? What do you see? Do you see a community? Do you see clients? What is it that you have as a vision for what they're going to get out of this? You got to have a vision for that, because otherwise you encounter one and what happens? It falls flat on its face. There's no repeat business. They don't keep buying. Why? Because there's no vision for it. What is your vision for? This is why the wellness home was created. The wellness home is a product. Now, you can't find that product in Niken's catalog. You find all these different items, but you don't find the wellness home. Think about it this way. When you go to a store, electronics store, and you're setting up shop in your home these days, you buy an home entertainment system, right? And it's comprised of whatever it is today, a flat screen TV, a streaming, a sound bar, whatever. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was a VCR and an amplifier and speakers and a TV as big as you could get. The configuration of technologies changed, but the theme, the idea hasn't. It's a home entertainment system. What is a wellness home? The wellness home is an environment that creates well-being. So will it look different 20 years from now? I sure as hell hope so. I hope we get some advanced technology to come into the picture as we go. The idea is the theme doesn't change. The technology, the tools will change. But the idea of a wellness home, the vision of a wellness home means it's an environment that's ongoing. It's not a transaction. It's not, oh, they bought a pad. Oh, they bought a waterfall. So what? They don't want a waterfall. They don't want a pad. What do they want? What's the vision you sold them? What's the vision they bought into concerning their health and their well-being for the rest of their life? Did you talk about that? Or was it just about the waterfall? You see what I'm saying? If you don't have that vision, you can't transfer that. And if you can't transfer that, you can't duplicate it, because duplication is how you scale. Scale is how you 10x. So you got to have a vision for yourself and your lifestyle. You got to have a vision for your customers and your community. Then comes a vision for your company. What does that mean? What's the business model? What's your business model? What's your system? You know, Dave and I have been talking about a system, a system, a system. If you want to scale, you got to have a system. Well, we put in play a little system. It starts with this call for training, Tuesday nights for introducing people to Niken as a business opportunity, Wednesday nights for introducing people to learn more about the products, including Downline. Thursday nights talk to people about the income opportunity in a more intimate environment, more Q&A. And then we come back to Monday. And then every now and then we sprinkle a little bit of sauce, like the 15th of the month, which is the, you know, like the Super Saturday kind of a thing. So that's a system. Do you recognize that that's what causes you to be able to be scalable, for you to be able to multiply and duplicate? Sell the system. Let people know there's a system. Because if they're looking at you and they're seeing you working hard and they think that's what it takes to be successful at this business, you're working too hard. You need to sell a system. A system, a system, a system. That's how it's scaled. That's a vision for your company. Now, 3, vision for your industry. Most of us are not there. I am. Dave is. We talk about it all the time. How the industry is changing. We're in touch with other companies and other networkers and big networkers and other companies. And we collaborate and we talk about what are the changes in the industry and what do we need to do to influence the industry in the right direction. People like Eric Worre and so forth are friends, you know, the people who write these books, you know, Richard Brooks, they're friends. Why? Because they are on the level of the industry. They're influencers of the industry. And if you want to get to that level, if you're the kind of person who's influencing an industry, what kind of money do you think you're making? Influence, impact, income, they're all related to the vision. And then the last one is the vision for humanity. Maybe that's a really big one. It's, you know, everybody has lofty ideas. Oh, you know, I want world peace, you know, Miss America. I want world peace. What does that mean? Have you got a vision for yourself and your life? Have you got a vision for your clients and your community before you start talking about world peace? You see what I mean? There has to be integrity in this process. And the integrity is it starts with you. So let me see if there's any other golden nugget here that I want to. Visionaries step into challenges that they're not yet capable of solving. Is that real? Visionaries step into challenges that they're not yet capable of solving. Means there's a bit of a risk when you step into a challenge that you don't have the answer for. That's what visionaries are. They're the ones who rise to the challenge. And they acquire the skills, the knowledge, the know-how, the people, the circumstances. And there's the last one here. The more people your vision requires, the more people it inspires. The more people your vision requires, the more people it inspires. So when you're talking with people, what are you talking about? What are you inspiring them with? Now, don't think for a second, don't think for 1 second you're too anything, too old or too unskilled or too whatever. There's no such thing. Because if you decide to do what my daughter has done, and that is partner with God, the ultimate A in the ABC, then he'll use you. He'll put the words in your mouth. He'll use you. If you give him permission to exploit you for his purposes, for his gains, which we know what his goal is: abundance, health, joy. It's pretty well established. If you read the Bible, you know, it's pretty well established what his will for us is. It's good. It's all the goodness. It's all the good stuff. And what you are living is not what you're capable of. It's just what you've allowed yourself. According to somebody's will, maybe not even your own.
There was one other
yeah.
point on the 2 faces of desire and fear. And I thought what she vibrated all day long was love it. If you're so passionate about loving if you're really loving what you're doing, then the desire will overcome the fears. And she talked about her own transparency for those that might follow her also on Instagram, of when she's been very transparent when things didn't go so well. And all that did was then bring more business to her because she never lost her desire, because she could just continued walking through those fears and learning from them because of that desire in her heart. And she spent some time on that, which I thought was done exceptionally well.
That's really good, Madeline. What that brings up is the second point she made, and that is look for the approval of the one who made you instead of the approval of the world.
It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
In other words, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to fail, to fall down and pick yourself back up. It's okay. Don't seek the approval of the world. Seek the approval of the person who created you. So the whatever created you. So you're talking about a different level of expectation for yourself and for others. What we're trying to do here, this little motley crew on this call here, what we're trying to do is create a movement. Create a new movement in Nikan, create a new movement in wellness, create a new movement in the economy, helping people to establish and create for themselves their own economy, which to me is the prime directive of network marketing. It is not the product you push. It's the people, not the product. Get it? It's the people, stupid, not the product. What's that mean? It's about what people want. People don't want to work hard. They don't want a waterfall. They don't want a sleep system. They want health. They want abundance. They want prosperity. They want freedom. They want freedom of time. Those are the things that people want. They don't want to have to do the stuff that we have to do, but they do it. Why? And they do it gratefully and happily. Why? Because they get what they want if they do it.
You're sounding like Dave.
No, I think he sounded like me.
I taught him well.
Yeah, you get what you want.
But it's true. But it's so basic, right? But it is true, right? We can't argue with that. It's the truth. So all this to say, what are the goals you're going to set for this month? Here we are in March. We're already, 3 days into March? 3 days into March.
It's 3-3 today.
What are you going to do with the rest of March? What are you going to do that's going to make March maddening? March Madness. What are you going to do? Like, if you sponsored one other person who had the passion and desire you have, just one, we'd be twice as strong.
I'd like to say something on this one, Michael, if you don't mind.
Not at all. Please, Dave.
So in my first year, we had a different marketing plan than is available today. So we didn't have Royal Diamond and we didn't have Diamond. We had Silver. No, we had Direct, we had Senior, we had Executive, we had Bronze, we had Silver, we had Gold, and then we had Platinum. And the leadership bonuses paid 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the farther down, the less you made. So the money was up at the front end of the plan, so to speak. And so what I looked at is I said, okay, number one, my January was, getting out of the box. February was a little bit better. It really didn't start till March. But what I looked at is, well, what do I want for the year? And that was the big goal. And the goal has to be something that can be reached, because you can always alter the goal and change it the next time, but it's got to be bigger than where you are. So from the standpoint, I said, well, I've never made $120,000 a year, so that's my goal. And so I set out to do that. And my first month, I made $400. And okay, so that's 400. So then I took 400 and I subtracted that from 120. That left me with 119,600 to go. So that's what the next target became. So in the next month, I made $4,000. And each month I kept getting more and more and more, and till I got up to making $15,000 a month. So what's really important about setting a goal is understanding that it's like climbing a mountain. You don't go right to the top and jump on top. You start at the base and you work your way up the mountain, crisscrossing, gradiently moving up side by side, rock by rock, cliff by cliff. Same thing with a goal. In other words, you want to make $100,000, then okay, divide that by 65%, which is divided by 65%. That means it's 100. Sorry. So you want to make 100,000, divide that by 65%. That's 150,846,000 in CV volume. So you're not going to do that your first month, but you could do that by your 12th month. And so you let's set the big goal, and then we'll set the targets. And again, so for me, the language, it was interchangeable. Well, what's a target? Well, in order to get to that goal, I need to have at least 3 or 4 consultants a month. So the target for this month is let's go get 3 or 4 consultants. Then groove them into the same thing, doing the same thing, because they're going to be the components of 12 months from now. So I'm going to go back and give you this analogy. When this team came back and they were playing the 10X in the birthday game, and there's a statistic that we use called bodies in the shop. And all that means is anybody that comes in to take a look around. Well, at that time, when they came back, there was 1 to 3 people coming in a week. Last week, they had 141 people coming in. So what did they do? They figured out what had to occur to get more people in. Was it more promotion? Yes. Was it more going out and talking to people? Yes. Was it more getting other people to bring people in? Yes. It was a combination of things. So in our business, how do we get new people? Well, we can advertise. We can run ads, we can do promo pieces, we can do flyers, we can go to events, we can go to set up things in fairs, we can do all kinds of things. We can call our friends, we can call our family, whatever the case may be. So, but the key for you is to understand what you do best. Because you're not going to do the same thing that everybody else does, and everybody else isn't going to do the same thing you are, but you can do what you can do. And what you have to figure out is how you do it. So, okay, so the marching order is, okay, I want to get 5 new distributors this month, because if I get 5 new distributors this month and they each buy a pack for $500, there's $2,500, blah, 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 blah. Okay, big win. Huge win. Now, what if each one of those 5 were to get the $100,000 a year prize game going? Then I would go from not only would I go from 100,000, I go to 500,000. You see, the thinking big is in relationship to what can happen. But you still got to be real about what you do and how you make it happen. And you have to understand the component parts of what it is that you're producing so that you can go out and effectively start building your little business to make it a big business. And
Pause for 1 second. Pause for 1 second. I want to harp on that. What can happen? What can happen? This is what we want to talk to people about. What can happen. And then when you do a product demo, any product demo, what you're showing them is that Niken delivers. That's what the product demo does. It just validated that something actually can happen and does happen. And so The conversation about what can happen is what can happen if they succeeded in this business. And then when you do a product demo and they see, oh my God, the product actually works, all of a sudden that closes the gap of what can happen. Let's make it happen because it can happen for us. That's how you do it. That's the 1-2. But if you're not talking about that future reality with somebody and they're not engaged in that because you're not engaged in that, then you're not building this business at full speed. You're not building what's possible. And you're not going to duplicate and 10x the business. You're going to 10x the business because you're going to 10x your organization.
Now, here's the wonderful thing about this. You're going to march along, you get your 5 people here, your 6 people there, they'll start getting people, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your superstar shows up. And the reason why your superstar shows up after you produce your brains out is because you feel worthy of being able to accept a superstar. Everybody would love a superstar right now, wouldn't you? You'd all love to have a new royal diamond in your business that just knocks everything off the table, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the problem is you haven't earned it yet. You got to get off your duff and go to work. That's what it boils down to. And people love to work if they're producing something of value. People hate to work when they're not producing something of value. So don't mistake things. If you get somebody that really loves this job and they're producing a great product, they'll go to the moon for you. I've seen it. Mike's seen it. Yes, Michael.
What is that thing of value? It's the vision.
There you go.
It's the vision. The thing of value is the vision you have for yourself and your life. The vision you have for your clients and the community you're creating, the vision you have for your company, the vision you have for your industry, the vision you have for humanity. That is the thing of value. And if you're not connected to it, and if it's not crystal clear in your mind, you're not going to communicate it. You're not going to go to work for it. You're not going to have fun working for it. Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. This is really, really cool because I've just come back from holidays and I've been studying with Vishen Lakhiani and Mindvalley and working on visualizing and how to do it. People don't know how to visualize. It's hard. It is one of the hardest concepts I have come across in my whole life. And I finally figured it out through all of my life experiences, visualizing, and it's so easy to do. See, look, and you know, I've got so much going through my head right now, but if you look into the horizon, look straight into the horizon and know what you want. First of all, you have to know what you want. And then to visualize it, look into the horizon, think of what you want, let it come from your heart to the horizon. Then you're going to see it. And it's going to be so damn crystal clear that you can't deny it. It works. Every time I've done it, it works.
Ready. Wes.
You know, along the same line with vision, you know, in Humans Being More, we create a vision board. People look at the pictures. What they fail to do is put themselves in the pictures. See themselves in the picture. What life's like with them in the picture.
You know, it's so basic, right? Like what we're talking about here is so basic, but did you do it last month? Madeline?
The way that your daughter explained it today was an airport day. She gave the example of not liking to get up early in the morning. But if it's a morning when she's getting up to go to Guatemala or somewhere else, she's doesn't sleep. She's out of bed at 4 in the morning and she's excited all day. So that vision has to have that perception with that kind of an energy in us. So she spent a while talking on how we perceive the future. And I thought that was a good way to remember it.
That's a really great example. How we perceive the future, because if you perceive it with doom and gloom, you're not going to want to get out of bed at all. Forget about talking to people. But if you perceive it as a success story, not just for you, but remember, vision for yourself and your life, vision for your clients and your community, vision for your company. If you're seeing a success story for all of that, then you can't wait to get to the future. You can't wait to get there.
On that plane.
Paula.
Reminds me of a story of a mail carrier who bitches and complains about having to haul those big bags of mail around, and yet after work he's all excited, he's going golfing, carrying a big bag around, like it's whatever's in your head, right?
How you perceive it, right?
Yeah.
How you perceive it.
Yeah.
So think about this, because we need to come to a conclusion on this call, but we need to make this call different than any other previous month beginning call. It has to be, because the results just don't cut it. I'm sorry to say, but this is not what we're after. What we're after is a thriving community. What we're after is growth on this call and every call that Nikan has. That's what we're after. And it's up to us to make that a reality. Each and every one of us plays a part in this, and we lean on each other for that. And that's one of the assets that you have. One of the beautiful things that you have is you're not in it alone, really.
Well, I think this group should be presenting Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
I think so too.
Rotate.
So show up. By the way, when you see me present on Tuesday nights, I always say I don't pre-plan who's going to talk the testimonials, but I ask for them. I volunteer. And how many times have I had to squeeze somebody to get a testimony out of you guys? Are you kidding? Does this sound like somebody who's excited to wait, wants to get into the action? I remember wellness previews with people, you couldn't shut them up. So guys, where's your stories? You should be jumping off the page trying to tell your story. Pick me, pick me, pick me. Let me tell my story. Let me tell my story. I'll tell you something. We have a little bit more of that going on in a call. You're going to see how fast the calls start to multiply, because it looks like people want to be there, not they have to be there. See what I'm saying? It's all the energy, right? It's all about this energy. It's how we perceive the future, how we perceive ourselves, how we identify ourselves. Are we in it to win it, or are we just trying to not lose?
Well, energy is a good concept, because that's what we offer. All of our products are about energy. And so our human energy isn't vibrating the way that it should be. It was right. It was a real takeaway. Yes.
Talia. And if you just saw her energy on the call, I mean, she was over the charts. The whole Schumann frequency of planet Earth shifted today when she was talking.
Without using notes.
So that's what I'm talking about. People want to associate with people who are excited, are on fire, who are going someplace and have a vision for the future. That's much more exciting than any of the politicians are delivering or any of their whatever. You know what I'm saying? You guys, we need to lead. We need to lead ourselves. We need to lead others into a future that's palatable, that's exciting, that's worth working hard for. That's worth getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Can't wait to get out of bed for.
And that's because pride is something that's really important, that you really want, something that, it's like on travel day when you're going on vacation, you really want to go on that vacation. That's why you're excited.
I'll tell you, I know I can feel the sun on my skin and the ocean around me. That's how vivid it is when I'm getting on a plane going where I want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there already before you're on the plane. That's the kind of reality you've got to be living when it comes to your business. You've got to be living it as though it's like the sun, and you feel the warmth, you feel the excitement, you feel the energy. You see the people you're surrounded by. You see the team that you've created. You see the victory that they're having. I'm telling you, if you're talking to somebody as though they're already a success in Nikan, that catches on pretty quick. Wes, what are you showing us? The time? Yeah, we got a call to get to. So it's a kickoff call. You already had your kickoff call. This was a kick-ass call. And let me tell you something, another thing. This is a business training call. This is a business coaching call. Do you know people pay thousands and thousands of dollars for what you guys are getting for free?
We did in the past.
Where do we send it, Mike?
Lots of thousands of dollars.
So here's another takeaway. Take the recording of this call and send it to somebody and say, this is the kind of coaching calls I'm on every week. Would you like to be a part of that? I mean, that's a real asset to be able to say, this is who we're hanging out with. This is the kind of coaching we're getting, free of charge, by the way. And the only price of admission is you actually start to play the entrepreneurial game with Nikan. You start taking a shot at the future with Nikan. That's the price of admission to get onto these coaching calls.
The visionary game. We're going from entrepreneurship to visionaries.
There you go. From entrepreneurship to visionary. I don't even know if there is a name for it, but anyway, we are the visionaries.
Big visionaries, yes.
Okay, guys, let's get off this call. Let's get on to the next one. And hey, listen, watch the playback, but set a goal. If you haven't set a goal already in the chat, the March chat, which I think we call it the March chat now. I think I changed it. Please write that goal in there if you want to be on the Thursdays calls, be accessing the Thursday calls. And you want to be, guys. You absolutely want to be accessing the Thursday calls. You want to learn as much as you can about how to present this business, the income side of the business, which is the most exciting thing. The eighth wonder of the world, Einstein said, it was compounding, the eighth wonder of the world. And you can compound money here. You can compound time here. Man, I get so excited about that idea. You should too.
I can tell.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Marching orders.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.